By all logic, Dragon Ball FighterZ should be dead by now. No new characters for years, a meta so cursed that people walked away, top players calling it boring, and then we got that night in France. Crowd packed into the venue, finals on stage, some people joking about it's a dead game, top 8 why are we still here, while still secretly hoping for a miracle. Then the trailer hit.
待たせたな。さあ、始めようか。
A balance patch that actually touches most of the cast. Super Saiyan 4 Goku from Dragon Ball Daimo on the screen like he just travelled straight out of the anime. The room explodes, Twitter explodes, YouTube explodes, reaction videos pop up overnight. DBFZ is back, thumbnails are everywhere. Tier list channels already arguing about where Daimo Goku is gonna sit the moment he drops. People also drawing up their dream lineups. We're talking about Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, Super Android 17, and just asking themselves the question, who's next after this and are we cooking again? For a moment it didn't feel like Dragon Ball FighterZ was a museum piece getting polished. It actually felt like a resurrection. But here's the problem. Trailers lie, crowd noise lies, and hype lies. Money, rights, and dev bandwidth don't. So in this video, we're going to do something that's boring, but really necessary. We're going to take that one perfect night in France and put it under a microscope. By the end of this video, you won't just remember how that night felt. You'll know in painful detail whether Dragon Ball FighterZ is truly back as a living game. Or was that night in France just the start of a very expensive but also a very beautiful farewell tour? Here on Shocking Cost TV, we only do things one way. We follow the money and we count the real cost of Dragon Ball FighterZ's comeback. Before we get into it, please take a second to hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help the channel grow. Here's what we're actually doing in this video. We're not just asking, is DBFZ back? That's too soft. The real question is Dragon Ball FighterZ truly returning as a living supported game? Or is it just being kept on life support just long enough to ride the Dragon Ball Daimo wave and bow out gracefully? Now, to answer that, we've got to talk about 3 possible futures. Future 1, the maintenance bike. One last big patch, Daimo Goku, a pretty master send off, then it slowly drifts into the finished classic game status. It was loved, played, but it's no longer growing. Future 2, a soft relaunch. A Stealth FighterZ 2.0 without actually changing the name. We're talking more visual balance work, maybe some UI polish, a mini festival update that tries to sell something new. A soft new era without actually building a whole new game. Then we have Future 3, a true DBFZ 2. New game, new engine decisions, new budget, new marketing cycle, crossplay from day one, proper live service spine. A real sequel and not just daydreaming. So how do we work out which future we're actually in? We follow 4 things. Number 1, the timeline. We're talking launch, boom, collapse, rollback, patches, and Daimo. Number 2, the tech. We're talking rollback versus crossplay, why some things got done and why others mysteriously didn't. Number 3, the money and portfolio. Where does Dragon Ball as a franchise actually earn now, and where does FighterZ sit in that stack? Number 4, the rights and the people. Who even has the power to greenlight another FighterZ style project? The whole Dragon Ball FighterZ story fits into a handful of clear eras. You can think of them as, sagas in anime. Season 1 between 2018 to 2019. This was the launch. Dragon Ball FighterZ dropped and instantly felt like cheating. It looked better than half the anime, supers were full scenes, tags, assists, and 3 character teams that make it feel like the Dragon Ball show you grew up on, but it was actually in your hand. It also landed at the perfect time. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite became the ugly stepchild that everyone pretended they couldn't see. Street Fighter V was also in that awkward ugly duckling stage after that disastrous launch. It was maturing with patches, sure, but many people just love to complain more than they actually love to play the game. So FighterZ quietly becomes the new Marvel. Big team combos, chaotic scrambles, and crowd-pleasing nonsense. Then the rivalries hit. At the top of the mountain you had Goichi and SonicFox. Go won, the Japanese lab monster who had impregnable defense, calm, efficient, and almost would never drop anything. Then you had SonicFox, the American Mortal Kombat prodigy in the blue fox hood. Aggressive and fearless, loved chaos. Stylistically, it was reminiscent of Jin vs Mugen from Samurai Champloo. Their sets at EVO and the World Tour Finals didn't just feel like tournaments, they felt like boss fights. Around them, a first generation also formed. Kazunoko, the man who could look into any game and instantly identify the most oppressive and cheapest mechanics. He's on the Mount Rushmore of fighting game goats. Hook Gang God, the Piccolo specialist from New York who made the Emperor of Aura Farming look like the main character in the game for once. Fenrich, the precision machine from Japan with pixel perfect confirms. The Touch of Death Cell expert who set the stage for those iconic Cell intros.
Play, it's gonna be fun to watch.
Man, I love it.
Perfect. No, not like this. Oh, I swear, I swear. Thank you. This was the biggest heartbreak of my entire life.
I feel betrayed.
I feel that was top 1 anime betrayal.
I feel
top 1 anime betrayal.
I feel sick. Bro.
Take 2.
Find out who that was.
Take 2.
Sometimes you just want to get into the game.
Take 2, guys. Take
Alright
2.
guys, anyway.
EVO 2022. Cell games. Cell intro. Take 2.
Throw back to season 1. Enjoy everybody. Enjoy this moment. Chat, get hype. Let's go. Yeah! This is no game!
Every major tournament looked like a DBFZ commercial. Crowds were screaming, Twitch was spamming Touch of Death. You knew that once your character got touched once, that person was about to get deleted off the screen. And Bandai was feeding new DLC characters into the fire. This was the Honeymoon Era. The game is new, the meta is still wide, and it feels like there's nothing but blue skies above it. Season 2, 2019 to 2020. Then the game starts to tilt. DLCs like GT Goku, Vegito, Gogeta hit the roster, and slowly the chaos becomes a little bit more predictable. Instead of seeing 20 different team ideas, you start seeing the same 3 shells over and over. Tiny GT Goku flying around the stage becoming an absolute menace. Vegito and Gogeta coming in with buttons that borderline looked illegal. And top tiers were glued together but in slightly different orders. To the casual viewer, it still looks amazing. Beams, assists, blue auras, full screen supers. But if you're playing, it starts to feel like this. Of course, I'm fighting GT Goku, Bardock again, and of course, yeah, there's a fusion team in the back. I genuinely started to react to GT Goku like Frieza every time he would see a Super Saiyan. The important thing is, people still stayed. Now this is exactly when rivalries were at their peak. Go1 vs SonicFox is still a headline in anime rivalry. Kazunoko kept showing up to tournaments with that "if you slip, I'll take this whole tournament" kind of energy. Fenrich came up with new ways to one-touch kill you, and new names like Wawa, Shanks and Bambaban started to pop up, bringing insane execution and creativity from Europe and Japan. The game is warping around a small group of characters, but it's still warping under the spotlight. Everyone started to complain, but nobody really looked away. Then you had Phase 3. Labcoat Android 21 joins the fight. If you're new, she's the scientist version of Android 21 who basically becomes the final boss of the whole game. She hits hard, she's hot, and she fits a worrying patterns with characters that I always end up playing. Viper, Marisa, Armika. I clearly have a type. Overnight, she becomes the symbol of everything that's wrong with modern DBFZ. Her busted command grab gave a permanent damage buff to her and a permanent damage debuff to you. Yes, it was a permanent match nerf to whoever got grabbed. This thing had no super flash to react to, turning sets into, "Did you get tagged once by this?" Okay, well, enjoy playing the rest of the match with nerfed characters. Fighting her was like trying to fight Brock Lesnar in real life, but with a Wii remote in hand and you were just trying to not get grabbed. She quickly warped high level play so badly that majors started debating whether to ban a brand new DLC character just to keep brackets playable. By mid 2022, CEO officially banned Labcoat 21 from DBFZ after weeks of pros saying that she was warping the game. Other events and commentators were openly discussing bans, sharing stats, just showing how overly centralized she was at the high level of the game. Bandai did eventually confirm a balance patch that would address her, but the timing was slow enough that TOs had to make the first big move, banning or allowing her, and eat the community backlash either way. At the same time, the world outside the game was changing. Offline events were getting disrupted, formats were shifting, online tournaments were trying to fill the gap. But DBFZ still had that old school netcode, so half of the matches felt like that underwater TMNT stage that I still have nightmares about. The anime side started to cool off as well. Dragon Ball Super goes quiet, there's no new weekly show feeding the hype into the game. Balance patches start feeling slower, communication gets thinner, and we all start to feel like we're being ghosted after years of a whirlwind romance. For a lot of players, this is where FighterZ silently moves from "my main game, my main grind" to "I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore, and I think we should start seeing other people." But the passion doesn't vanish. Locals, diehards, and character loyalists keep the fire burning. Channels like Excuses and Bum's House of Chaos kept dropping replays and holding tournaments. Like a star-crossed lover, just one day hoping that the universe will eventually repay their loyalty. But the momentum, that's what disappears. Phase 4. When most people have quietly filed Dragon Ball FighterZ under the dead, but we had a good run category, Bandai finally say the words that everyone had been begging for. Rollback.
We do not have future plans for any new characters or balance adjustments. But here's the good news, as you have heard from her, we have decided to implement Rollback netcode to Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Thank you.
If you're new to this, the original online for DBFZ used a delay-based netcode. The game literally waited for both players' inputs before showing you anything. If someone's connection was bad or far away, the whole match just felt like you were both playing underwater. But Rollback netcode does the opposite. It guesses what will happen to keep the game responsive, then corrects itself if it gets wrong, Now when this is done well, it feels much closer to playing like you're both on the same couch. On paper, that sounds like the perfect mix. The problem is when it arrived. Much like a Nigerian showing up to an event 2 hours late, it's called African time. Rollback didn't show up when Go1 and SonicFox were rewriting history. It didn't show up when the virus forced everyone online and TOs were praying that their brackets wouldn't get dissolved into lag complaints. It didn't show up when Labcoat 21 was breaking the meta so badly that majors had to debate banning a brand new DLC character just to keep the tournaments playable. Instead, TO spent years getting burnt. Now, early on, some events were told that they couldn't even run DBFZ because of licensing drama in the background. Imagine playing a bracket, then being told, actually, you might not be allowed to stream this. When the virus hit, Bandai cancelled physical World Tour events across their entire games. And that's understandable for health reasons. But now, organizers had to either run their DBFZ online on just bad netcode, or just quietly drop it. By the time Rollback was announced, a lot of organizers had already paid the bill. Yes, Rollback gets revealed at EVO, then it becomes we're working on it, then beta tests, then finally a full rollout on PS5, Series X and S and PC. The players who never left feel like they've finally been rewarded for bleeding with the game. And the players who quit come back just to see how it feels. All the while, you start to see familiar names again and again in the results. Wawa turning Rollback era FighterZ into his own personal playground. European killers like Yasha and Wade show what happens when the region isn't choked by delay-based netcode. North American players like Hikari and Nitro become perennial killers, showing just how much damage can be done when people are given the platform to play the game. For the first time in years, jumping back into online with Dragon Ball FighterZ doesn't feel like you're paying tax to enjoy the engine. And fast forwarding back to 2025, it's not a full rebirth. Here's the part we haven't actually talked about yet, the patch itself. Because if you only watch the trailers, you'd think that the magic was in the Daimo Goku, Masters, and some potential changes. But if you actually play this new version of DBFZ, it truly feels like everybody in the entire cast has been sniffing Broly's pre-workout and freestyling over the beat. Bandai and Arcsys didn't just tighten the screws, they took the toolbox, opened every drawer and just said, you know what, one last cookout, everybody go nuts. And you can see that in 3 big places. First, the limit break juice. Being down to your last character was always scary, especially since the integration of Limit Break. But now, it's basically anime X Factor on juice. Your anchor hits hard, you build more meter, and comebacks are even more prevalent than they've ever been. Second, the combo freedom. Look at what the lab monsters have been posting since the patch came out. Routes that didn't even exist before. Characters getting new buttons or properties that turn honest mid-tiers into actual threats. Characters like Baby who deserved a hammer to the face. Yes, I said it. Baby absolutely deserved a hammer to the face. While UI Goku does the electric slide back and forth just cause. The official patch notes literally say that they adjusted every character, and the pattern isn't, we're just gonna take a little bit off the top. It actually gives everyone more toys. And now, congratulations. The whole cast has become a neighborhood full of problem children. Third, the vibe from the players. We can all feel it. It's like going to that amazing party. You're dancing with that beautiful girl or guy, in case we have any female watchers, but you can feel that there's only a matter of time before the lights come on and you might actually have to look that person in the face and see what they actually look like. That dread feeling, that's the thing right there. The meta is wide open, a ton of characters feel viable, but this might be the best version of the game, and yeah, probably the last big one that we'll ever get. And that's the important bit for this video, because in a true long-term live service plan, you don't just slam on the accelerator like this. You drip power, you sand off the rough edges, and you keep a couple of surprises in your back pocket for future seasons. Here, they handed out steroids at the door and told everyone to hit the stage, then they quietly started packing up the lights. On a pure gameplay level, it's glorious. On a business level, it doesn't look like the start of a careful new era. It looks like what it is, a thank you for playing patch dressed up as a miracle comeback. So this whole phase just sits on a knife edge. The old gods either retire from the grind or split their time with newer games where they might be rewarded more. Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Guilty Gear Strive, Under Night, now these become the main stage titles. Dragon Ball FighterZ starts showing up, but more as a legacy title than actually the hero of the schedule. And yes, there's still some side brackets that are still alive and some locals still run it, but for the new generation coming into the FGC, this isn't their first language. Most of them are cutting their teeth on Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, where the circuits are fresh, the prize pools are much bigger, and the publishers are clearly treating them as the dedicated main characters. And from the publisher's point of view, that matters more than nostalgia. Hold that thought as we go into the ugly part. If they were willing to spend years patching, balancing, and potentially making some tweaks to Rollback, why did the one feature that truly unites a player base, Crossplay, never arrive at all? If you want to know whether a fighting game is built for now, then there's one question that cuts through all the noise. Can everybody actually play together? That's Crossplay in English. By the mid-2020s, reality looked like this. Street Fighter 6 has full crossplay across PlayStation, Xbox and PC. Tekken 8, same story. Guilty Gear Strive patched in crossplay between PlayStation and PC. And MK1 had crossplay added post-launch. That's the lane FighterZ is trying to survive in. On paper, Rollback plus crossplay is the dream. Now in practice, they're two very different investments. Rollback in the current gen is effectively a staple at this point in the history of fighting games. If you don't have Rollback, I don't know what to say. You're not even playing the same game. It keeps your catalog titles playable on future hardware, and it fixes the biggest pain point that fighting games tend to have. And this is needed so you don't get memed into oblivion every time your game trends. Just look at the disaster netcode that is Hunter x Hunter.
Rollback is going nuts. This is the worst game I've played so far. What is happening?
But crossplay is much bigger. You'd need platform holder approvals, certification hoops for multiple console ecosystems, rebuilding your matchmaking logic and lobby systems. You'll also need a much larger amount of extra QA work every time you make a patch. Trust me, I know. It's the kind of move that you make when you're backing a long-term live service plan. And that's the uncomfortable reality. If Bandai saw FighterZ as a new 5 to 10 year pillar, you would expect crossplay retrofit, ranked relaunch, and loud marketing around one global player base. As someone who's worked as an exec in the gaming industry for years, I can attest to one thing. Publishers don't think in their favorite games, they think in portfolios. Right now, the Dragon Ball game lineup looks something like this. Xenoverse 2, which is the long-running co-op grinder, it gets constant DLC drops. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, this is the one with the prestige story box sets, it gets extra arc sold as DLC. Sparking Zero, the new flagship arena brawler, modern engine, Daimo characters, long DLC roadmap. On mobile, you have Dokkan, Legends, this is the gacha ATM. That brings us to FighterZ, the gorgeous 2D tag fighter that already did its big job. Each has a specific role. Xenoverse keeps the casuals grinding and spending. Kakarot sells that one more chapter to the story fans. Sparking Zero is the current gen showpiece and marketing anchor. Then you have the mobile games, which print quiet, disgusting amounts of money on a daily basis. FighterZ's job between 2018 to 2021 was to prove that a 2D tag DB fighter can actually go mainstream, give Dragon Ball a serious seat at the FGC table, and sell a ton of units and DLC during its peak years. It succeeded because by March 2025, Dragon Ball FighterZ had sold over 10 million copies worldwide, which puts it today in a specific box. Valuable catalog title that deserves one more spike when the timing is right, but not the game that we bet the next 5 fiscal years on. If Bandai suddenly greenlit a full DBFZ 2 right now, you would have a Xenoverse that's still alive, Kakarot still dropping DLC, Sparking Zero mid-cycle, and mobile games just doing their own thing. And then another massive console fighter asking about marketing budget, esports investment, and player attention. In a rights environment that's already messy. That right there is cannibalization. It's way easier to just let Sparking Zero be the current flagship, let Xenoverse and Kakarot milk Daimo and classic arcs, let mobile handle the daily monetization, give FighterZ a final balance patch, Daimo Goku and a nice tour, then just freeze it into prestige mode. Portfolio logic doesn't say sequel now, it just kind of whispers deluxe send-off. There's another ugly layer under all of this that you can't ignore if you're talking about Dragon Ball in the 2020 something. The guy who made it all possible is gone. When Akira Toriyama was alive, there was at least a myth of a center. You had Bird Studio, you had Capsule Corp Tokyo set up to handle his IP, you also had a pipeline where big decisions eventually flowed up to where Toriyama said yes or Toriyama said no. It wasn't simple even then. You still had Shueisha on the manga side, Toei on the anime side, Bandai Namco on the games, and different production committees for every big budget. But there was a sense that somewhere at the top of the mountain, there was that one guy whose taste, everything just sort of bent around. Now he's gone. And that doesn't kill Dragon Ball, it does the opposite. Dragon Ball is a billion-dollar forever brand. It's too big to end. There is zero, and I mean zero chance anyone in that ecosystem ever says, alright, well, that's enough Goku, let's pack it up guys. So what happens instead is a power vacuum. Toyotaro is doing the manga, Toei is still the anime machine, Shueisha still owns the print side, Bandai is still the merch and games monster, Capsule Corp Tokyo and the Toriyama estate sit over the top of all of it. Every one of those groups has people inside it who think that they know what Dragon Ball should look like for the next 10 years. Every one of them can say no to something that doesn't fit their vision. Now imagine trying to move anything bold through that. Changing a hair color, a logo, a costume, a form. That's not ask one guy and see if it looks cool. That's art approvals, brand guidelines, committee meetings, legal checks, estate sensitivities. People asking, is this respectful to Toriyama's legacy? And does this line up to where we want Dragon Ball in 2030? And that's the tension that doesn't just hit the anime, it also hits the games. Dragon Ball FighterZ is anchored to a very specific picture of the series. Late Z, Super and some GT. And a sprinkle of some movie spice. All filtered through Arcsys style. Anything that tries to move beyond that now has to answer questions like, what era are we pushing? Whose canon are we following? Does this line up with whatever the next big Dragon Ball show is after Daima? Who even signs off on this now that Toriyama isn't here to be the final yes? So when fans say, just announce another DBFZ, what they're really saying is, in the middle of a post-Toriyama power shuffle, with the anime direction not fully locked, with multiple companies all arguing over what Dragon Ball should be next, please get everyone to agree on a massive, risky, multi-year fighting game project that defines what this IP looks like on the current gen hardware. And you can see why that doesn't happen. The safe play in a power vacuum is always the same. Don't invent a new pillar, curate the ones you already have, and that's exactly how FighterZ is being treated. It's not the canvas for the next 10 years of Dragon Ball, it's the beautifully preserved snapshot of a previous era, tuned up and sent on a farewell tour. while the people in charge argue about what the future of Dragon Ball even looks like without the guy who started it. Sequels don't just happen in that environment, they crawl. And until that vacuum settles, finish FighterZ properly and move on is the least risky move for everybody at the table. Daimo itself is a perfect example. A whole new show built partly as a tribute to Toriyama, but also as a testbed for what Dragon Ball even looks like in a post-Toriyama world. If you look at FighterZ in isolation, Daimo Goku looks like a miracle. New Goku, new patch, new life. But Bandai doesn't think in miracles, they think in windows. A Dragon Ball Daimo in one giant window, a new anime, a distinct art style, new forms, outfits, demons, kidified designs, a huge emotional hook, Toriyama's final big Dragon Ball story. You don't waste out on one game, you blast it across the whole portfolio. Xenoverse 2 got the Daimo pack, we're talking more original characters standing next to Kid Goku. Sparking Zero got the Daimo character packs and the Demon Realm stages, anniversary trailers, the whole show. Kakarot got the Daimo story DLC turning the anime into a playable arc. FighterZ got Super Saiyan 4 Daimo Goku plus one last balance hit. From Bandai's angle, FighterZ isn't the frontman of the Daimo band, it's just one instrument in a larger arrangement. The pattern is clear. One anime, many SKUs, stagger the content so Dragon Ball never leaves the timeline. For FighterZ specifically, the Daimo beat is drop one insane Goku that ties the game emotionally to Toriyama's last story, give the pros and the diehards a reason to revisit the lab, then just let the game settle. There's also one more boring but important piece that nobody ever talks about, in these just make the sequel conversations. The people who actually build this stuff. Arcsys Works is not Capcom. It's not Bandai. It's a mid-sized Tokyo in Yokohama with a couple hundred staff, not a 1,000-person AAA machine that can spin up five blockbusters at once. For most of their history, their fighting game teams have been small and surgical. On older titles like BlazBlue, devs had said that a typical team was maybe 20 people, 40 at absolute peak. Now, that's not infinite armies, that's one focused strike team at a time. And they're not just making one game. While all of this DBFZ drama has been playing out, Arcsys have been holding up Guilty Gear Strive as their own flagship with multiple seasons and now a huge 2.0 style overhaul on the horizon. Building and then upgrading Granblue Fantasy Versus into Rising for side games. That's a whole sequel level project on another license. Co-developing DNF Duel with Nexon, publishing and supporting anime adjacent fighters and brawlers, and right now they're deep in a brand new project like Marvel's Token Fighter, plus other action titles on other sides. This is their business model. They are a specialist combat studio that gets hired by bigger IP owners, we're talking Bandai, Cygames, Sony, whoever, to turn franchises into flashy, beautiful, tournament-ready games. The usual deal in this world is simple. The publisher fronts the budget and owns the license, the dev gets paid through milestone payments, and if they negotiated well, sort of on the back end as well for performance bonuses. When the contract ends, the dev team rolls onto the next gig. So if you say, why don't they just make a Dragon Ball FighterZ 2? You're not asking for a patch, you're asking for Bandai to sign a brand new multi-year contract, Shueisha and Toei to approve another huge Dragon Ball project, and Arcsys to peel a whole team off Guilty Gear, Granblue, Marvel Token, and everything else, to dive back into a series where they already delivered a hit once. From Arcsys' side, Dragon Ball FighterZ is a completed success story. They proved their tech, they got paid, they cemented their reputation, they move on to the next deal. From Bandai's side, FighterZ already did its job in the portfolio. Getting all of that to line up again in a right mess with a stacked schedule for a game that's now a legacy title instead of the hot newness, it's not a switch that can just be flipped. It becomes a full production and political war. So what does that actually add up to? Let's lay out the realistic branches. Scenario 1. This is the version players ended up living through. We're talking Rollback plus current gen updates equals permanent playability, patch 1.4 or patch 1.41 that cleans up the meta and sends the game into its best possible state. Super Saiyan 4 Daimo Goku lands near the end of the Daimo marketing window, and a Masters/World Tour that wraps up with a big nostalgic final. After that, updates will slow down to nothing. The game stays on sale, tournaments continue but driven by communities not Bandai. FighterZ becomes what Third Strike, Melee and Guilty Gear XX already are. A finished classic that still lives in locals, side brackets and highlight reels, not in a live service product chasing new seasons. If I had to put my money down, it goes here. Scenario 2, False Hope relaunch, possible but might be a little bit messy. This is the one that Copium loves. Daimo Goku sells well, battle hour numbers look juicy, rollback lobbies are healthy, PS5, Series X and PC, and some execs go, maybe we should squeeze one more year out of this. So you get a mini patch after Daimo Goku, maybe Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, potentially an anniversary pass with 1 or 2 extra nostalgic characters, another curated tour or similar prize pools. Enough to feel like a new era if you squint hard enough, but still missing the big moves. No crossplay retrofit, no ranked relaunch, no visual 2.0 identity, no loud multi-year roadmap, because they love to tell you when something big is happening. Silence is usually golden. To the casual player, it's DBFZ's back, baby. But to anyone reading the business side, it's the farewell tour that got extended because the tickets sold well. That brings us to scenario 3. Now this is the dream that everyone secretly clings to, myself included. The right situation stabilizes, a new anime era properly replaces Daima, Arcsys finish their other commitments, Bandai wants a high-end competitive Dragon Ball fighter again. Then maybe you get a true Dragon Ball FighterZ 2, crossplay from day one, new engine, full modern live service spine, or a spiritual successor, same team, different branding, taking everything that they've learned and starting clean. Could that happen? Yes. Is that what the current Daimo Goku plus Masters plan and patch actually signaling? No. That's a future decision, not a secret project in 2026 decision. Or just use code names, because internally we love to use code names. Sometimes you weren't allowed to talk about the project, so they use code names. Which brings us to the only question that actually matters. Given all of that, how should you treat Dragon Ball FighterZ right now? When I think back to that night in France now, the master stage, the trailer, the screaming, DBFZ's back baby, none of that feels fake. In that room, for a few minutes, it felt like a resurrection. I ran into the room with my phone in hand to show my 10-year-old who also loves this game. He was just as excited as I was. But when the dust settles, here's what we actually got. One huge balance surgery and a quick follow-up, one Daimo Goku, and one last world tour and a potential shiny send-off. And then quiet. When I think about Dragon Ball FighterZ, I don't picture patch notes. I picture nights. Loading the screen at 2 AM, lobby avatars running in circles, ready, fight, echoing out of the TV that's too bright in the dark room, sitting for 3 to 4 hours with my 10-year-olds, just playing multiple on multiple matches. I remember the first time I saw Go 1 vs SonicFox, not as a headline, but as a feeling. This is what Dragon Ball always wanted to look like. For a few years, it felt like the whole scene was speaking the same language. It didn't matter where you were from, what country or what game you played. Whether you were a Marvel veteran, a Guilty Gear player, a Street Fighter player, Mortal Kombat, or just someone who grew up screaming at the Cell games on TV. FighterZ turned that into something that you could hold in your hands. And that's why the question, is DBFZ really back, hurts. Because what we're actually asking is, Am I allowed to fall in love with this game again? Or am I just watching something that I love get dressed up into its own funeral? I'm not here to break your heart. I just know how this business works. So let's be honest. Everything that we've just walked through says the same thing in different accents. No crossplay, rollback only on the platforms that matter going forward, one big balance patch surgery and a quick follow-up, not a yearly plan, one Daimo Goku, not a new season, no public roadmap, no sequel announcements, a rights mess that makes big long-term moves risky, and a portfolio where Sparking Zero, Xenoverse, Kakarot and the mobile do the heavy lifting, while FighterZ gets one last carefully timed spotlight. FighterZ is something different now. A game that was important enough, loved enough, and profitable enough to earn a proper ending. But not back doesn't mean gone.
Man, I love him.
Perfect. We got a match here. We got a match here. Don't let Andrew to the one definitely wins the neutral here. Do not get hit.
Do not test her. That jump him.
Oh, he held up in time. Are you serious? You reacted to that?
Oh my God, Goichi playing out of his mind right now.
Stay solid.
This man is in another plane of existence. Galaxy brain, interdimensional brain.
Are you serious? This match is ridiculous.
He's
oh my God.
keeping Leffen at 0 bar. He's keeping Leffen at 0 bar. Well, he has 2 bars. Oh my God, the raw super death. That's going to keep him in a not happy place for the next 15 seconds.
You getting the balls? All right, just for the sliding knockdown, I agree.
And no reversal for Intro 21.
Oh my God, block.
Leffen in a lot of trouble
with the
here.
defense.
Suddenly in the worst position possible.
Oh
now
my
he's out of
God.
the court, but he does not get the frame advantage off the vanish.
Oh, what a challenge.
How did he block that? He dashed forward. Oh.
Watch it.
Oh my God, the block against Goichi.
Stop.
Completely another round of existence.
We are breaking the Dragon Rushes.
There's 45 seconds left on the clock, and look, and Goichi has not let go of the back position on his stick. The Senzu beans are working overtime right now. I need a medical professional to check Goichi's bloodstream.
This is crazy that Goichi is that poised right now. So is Leffen. They are so calm right now with only 30 seconds on the timer.
Wow!
Oh my goodness!
Are you kidding me?
Oh my goodness!
Yes!
Hold up! Oh my God!
How does he do that? How does he do that?
Oh, he's still chasing.
Yes!
He's trying to jump out the corner. He's coming on!
He do that?
That was clutch. Oh my God!
Rollback on modern hardware, a meta that finally respects more than just a few characters. One last Goku that ties it to Toriyama's final story, and a community that's smaller but sharper and deadlier and less interested in clout chasing. So, how do you treat a game like that? You don't treat it like a stock, you treat it like a book. You don't buy a book expecting 10 more chapters to magically appear later. You buy it because what's already printed is worth your time. FighterZ is that book now. If you're new, you're not late. You've walked into a story that's already been told with an ending patched, edited and cleaned up. You'll get years of guides, tech and community knowledge, a stable netcode on modern hardware and a wild roster that isn't just ruled by a few broken characters or one broken scientist anymore. You're not grinding for a future patch. You're just playing one of the best 2D tag fighters ever made in its final form. That's not an L, that's a blessing. If you took a break, you don't owe this game anything. But if you ever find yourself missing it, here's the frame I'd use. Don't come back because you think this time it will be different. Come back because you are. Coming back to run a set with a friend that you haven't played in years. Try characters that you avoided because they were too meta. Play without that old fear that if I drop this now, I'll fall behind. There's nothing left to fall behind for. The arms race is over. All that's left is the fight. If you're a diehard, you already know the truth. You can feel when a game is on the way up. And when every new top 8 is more reunion than revolution, that doesn't make what you're doing pointless. It makes it pure. No one is clout chasing DBFZ anymore. If you are still here, it's because the game is in your bones. So treat it like that. Build locals and not expectations. Keep attending events like Bum's House of Chaos. Archive sets, tech and knowledge. This is the version that people will look back on. And use the Rollback Era and Daimo patch as the last chapter of a story that you helped write. Not the season before the real thing, the actual ending. Final verdict. When I look at everything Bandai and Arcsys have done, my verdict lands here. Dragon Ball FighterZ is not resurrecting, it's settling. It's settling into a place that most games will never reach. Not abandoned, not milked to death, just finished properly. Much like the ending of Samurai Champloo, where all the parties just gracefully go their own way. We got a final tune-up, we're getting one last Goku, we still have a lovely rollback miracle, and a time in the spotlight years after its release. Most fighting games don't get half of that. This is the part of the movie where the camera pulls back, the crowd noises fade, and you realize that the arena lights are still staying on. Not for the next show, but for everyone who still wants to step into the ring one more time. Treat it like that, not as a promise, as a gift that we already received.